That's not what people voted for Trump. When you promise the American dream and then you say, no, don't talk to me about affordability. And then your White House puts out tweets that say we're already in the American dream. And then you say, well, no, but here's a check. It's just not good enough. And that's why I think that this is ultimately a crisis of leadership.
But I want to switch gears over a little bit because I hate being a black pill. You all at home know that I try to be as optimistic as I can, but I'm also not going to lie to you. And I've been telling you guys the truth in regards to what I think is going on within the Trump administration for these last few weeks now. It's been very, very disappointing. And I'm glad to see that I'm not the only person feeling this way because, well, there's a new Rasmussen Reports poll out that highlights just that. And a lot of Americans, a lot of voters are not really siding with the president these days. Keep in mind, his approval rating was very, very high. And it's starting to tumble down right now. As of today, it looks like it's around 43%. But that's a massive, massive slide. So joining me to discuss is Mark Mitchell, the head pollster over at Rasmussen Reports. He's going to break all these numbers down for us, of course. All right, Mark, I'm going to let you take it away from here. It looks like right now on your website, he's about 43%. Help us understand that.
Yeah, I've been saying for a lot of the last couple of months, well, Trump's approval rating isn't that bad. It'll probably recover. And yet now I'm staring at a -12 net approval, and I'm not so sure anymore. I'm really not. Now, he hit this low in his first term a couple of times. He actually got down to a 38% approval rating, but it was when they were throwing Russian collusion at him 24/7 on MSNBC, and everybody was tuning in to Rachel Maddow, and everybody literally thought that Donald Trump was a Russian asset and they were going to pull him from the presidency. And that, went away after about 6 or 7 months. People realized, well, it's kind of a hoax. And Donald Trump was starting to accomplish real things. The economy was starting to turn around. His approval rating recovered. And the last time it got to -12 was in May and June of 2020. Well, when was that? It was a few months into COVID. People weren't really happy with what was going on. And the Summer of Love, George Floyd riots. And in my opinion, probably a couple of optics that Donald Trump could have done better at back then. So this is not good. This is like he got way more votes. He had the right platform this time. He essentially got a mandate. And why are we looking at a -12 Trump approval rating? Now, I mean, there is some good news. We just did a generic ballot poll. Democrats are only up 3 points. You'd probably like to see Republicans winning, but history tells us they're not going to. And the fact that it's not a blue wave is probably a really good sign. But the really most troubling thing is that Donald Trump, sequentially, we watched it happen. First, he lost his crossover Democrat supporters. Then around Epstein and bombing Iran, he lost his independence. He got down to a -22% independent approval rating. That's where he's at today. And most recently, over the last couple of weeks, he started to lose some of the Republican support. So Republicans had given him approval rating in the 80s with a strong approval rating of over 60% for most of this term. Well, his strong approval hit to 53%, I think, 2 days ago, and his overall Republican approval is in the high 70s. And his right direction polling for Republicans is now in the mid 60s when it was lower 70s for most of the term. So just over the last couple of weeks, the effect has been Republicans are looking at this guy and saying, well, this isn't, what I voted for. Things aren't going in the right direction. What's going on here? And I think it's fair to say, just looking at some of the stuff he said, he's been all over the map. Like he's counter signaling his base. He's trying to argue with reporters about whether there's an affordability crisis or not. It's just not the right look. And one of the things I tweeted is that America is not the same America it was 10 years ago. And we really need a wartime president right now. We really need somebody laser focused on the core problems facing America. And I look at what he says and I wonder if he even really understands what they are.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to go through this because I think this is really important, Mark. I'm really frustrated. I've tried to hold back because I didn't want to blackpill our viewers. But when I saw him going after Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, I was ticked off because I knew that was divisive and that wasn't going to work over well for him. And just a couple of hours ago, posting another post about MTG, calling her a traitor, which again, I don't think she is. I just think that you have this dispute over the Epstein stuff. But when you're sitting here and you're building up, or you're trying to take down MTG and you're building up people like Senator Lindsey Graham, and you're bringing him to all these events, and you're giving him exclusive access to you, the American people see through that and they see it as garbage. I mean, people are really ticked off and you keep mentioning it. I want to dig into it a little bit more, but the affordability issue, I keep hearing that they're not trying to do anything in regards to housing. I mean, that's a massive, massive loss. And it's why so many people my age and
Right.
younger are turning to communists like Zohran Mamdani because they're at least talking about housing because they understand that it's not affordable right now. There could be the foreign meetings that he's taking up right now with Saudi Arabia, Syria. I mean, all of these people who have it out for us, and he's bringing them to the Oval Office. And then Epstein. I mean, you keep bringing that up too. It's another bomb that I think that they really just kind of
Yeah.
dropped in regards to fighting back on the Epstein stuff. I mean, it was a campaign promise. He was the one who started it. Democrats did politicize it, yes. But to sit here and call it a hoax doesn't sit well with voters.
No, he's completely lost his game and is out of touch. And I only think I can blame the isolation of the White House and who he's surrounded himself with. I went there 3 weeks ago. I told Alex about it,
Yeah.
but I talked to him for 45 minutes. He did most of the talking. But out of that 45 minutes, 10 minutes was spent about how great a golfing outing that he had with Lindsey Graham and how he
Ugh.
loves how much Lindsey Graham plays golf. And I just don't think he understands that a lot of his base look at Lindsey Graham and look at him like this kind of like three-horned demon of neoconservative bloodlust. And not only that, Lindsey Graham has apparently been one of these really long-time supporters of big businesses and their H-1B scam that they used to sell out American workers. So when you see Donald Trump counter-signaling his base on H-1Bs, I can only suspect that it's people like Lindsey Graham who are whispering that stuff in his ear, and that's not helpful at all. And we actually talked about the housing market. And one of the things he said was like, well, there's so many people that want to, that we can't endanger the value of people's housing. It's like, well, it's probably coming down whether you want it to or not. And at the end of the day, it would really help a lot of people. And we polled on that. A majority of Americans think the housing market is in a bubble. And almost everybody said it would be better for them if the housing market's value, the housing values were lower than if they stayed higher. And so, who's he surrounded with? Who's telling him that the house values need to stay up? Well, it's either people who are super concerned about their like multi-billionaire hedge funds and they don't want to take a loss, or it's people who are home builders, like the guy that he put in charge of housing in the US. Like these are the problems. And I ultimately said it's like you said a lot of stuff on the campaign stump. There was a lot of fight, 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 but there was never like, okay, fight, fight, fight what? It shouldn't be fight, fight, fight Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Hmm.
It should be fight, fight, fight for Americans and rebuilding what he promised, the American dream, the golden age, and also draining the swamp government accountability. And he needs to be single threaded on that. And he's not. And when even the stuff he's like, okay, he's moving the Overton window right on immigration and the fraud and the migration and all the stuff happening in Somalia. That's great.
Hmm.
But when he just attacks Ilhan Omar on True Social, it looks kind of impotent. Like he owns the government. Do something about that. And that's one of the things I think the younger people want. I think they want these folks rolled up yesterday. I was watching Asmund Gold, and he was like, why are we still talking about Ilhan Omar? It's been years. Denaturalize and deport. Like, how hard is this?
Yeah, yeah. I don't like talking about it anymore because we all know what happened here. We all know that there's marriage fraud, and yet he continues to do it as a comical joke. But you run all of this. I mean, you would be the one in charge of this. Deport our problems. Get rid of her. Send a tone. Set the message. Send the tone. Get rid of these people who have completely defrauded the system and are only sent to this country to destroy it. Because there's so many of them. Even bringing Zohran Mamdani into the White House. I mean, everyone told me that, oh, Brianna, this is like 4D chess. You just don't understand it. And I'm sitting here watching, and I'm like, there's nothing behind this. There's no actual strategy here besides getting him into the White House and maybe making him a little nervous. But that's about it. I mean, there was nothing else there. I don't want to see him in the Oval Office. Our enemies are the ones that sent him to this country. They had this plotted back in 2014 before he was even a U.S. citizen. So yeah, I'm not going to be so happy when I have to sit back and watch this. But this is what gets me kind of under my skin. And I know you guys have this latest poll up right now on your website as well in regards to the tariffs. He's proposing floating a $2,000 refund payment due to the amounts of money that's been kind of brought in through these tariffs, which sounds good. But truthfully, I mean, this is what we criticize Democrats about. Throwing money out there doesn't go well. It never really does. But you guys have just polled, and according to those who have taken this poll, 62% of likely U.S. voters approve of President Trump's proposal to give $2,000 in refund payments to low and middle income households. Now, that would be funded by the tariffs, of course, but I don't think people understand the long-term ramification of just getting money and just dishing it out as a member of the federal government at this point.
Well, I mean, they kind of do, because if you look at the second question, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we asked, okay, do you want a $2,000 check? And of course, Americans are going to say yes. And it was, like you said, a really high majority. But and especially Republicans really like it, and a lot of that is because it has the word Trump in it. But if you look at the independents, and these are people who are going to be younger and more hurting financially, only 54% of them want it, and 34% don't. So it's not like buying vote levels of popularity. But the next question, instead of using tariff revenue to give refund payments, would it be better to use that revenue to reduce the federal budget deficit? And then people say yes, 45% to 29%. It's like, no, no, actually, thanks for the offer, but government, you need this more than us. You used it. We literally found that signal in the poll. It's unbelievable. Republicans are most likely to say that, 49 to 26. And you know what I mean? At this point, it's like, what are we even doing? That's not what people voted for Trump. When you promise the American dream and then you say, no, don't talk to me about affordability. And then your White House puts out tweets that say we're already in the American dream. And then you say, well, no, but here's a check. It's just not good enough. And that's why I think that this is ultimately a crisis of leadership, because we do have good people in the administration. People can attack Tom Homan all they want. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I think 2.2 million people out of this country is an incredible start. We're going to have more of that. Lady in charge of the DOL, everything that she says, bang on. Like, keep going. Sue all these companies, hold them accountable for abusing these systems. I think Scott Bessent's doing a good job. Like, I think a lot of these people are doing a good job. Pete Hegseth is the exact person that we need in that job, doing the exact right thing. He needs to single-mindedly focus the military on killing people and breaking things, period. A weapon that is pointed by Congress or the president, depending on where we're at, right? But the problem is that there's no unified front here. These people are taking flack. Donald Trump should be giving them air cover, not like throwing misdirection out there and counter signaling people. And it's like, no, we need a wartime president who understands that this is an attack against a conservative movement that's trying to reform government and the capitalist system. And it's like, well, he kind of is sort of plugged into the oligarchy right now. And I said this in the White House. I said, sir, you need to smash the oligarchy, not be the oligarchy. And it was incredible. Susie lit up immediately. She's like, oh, that's good. We got, that's right. And I don't think that hit home. I can only surmise that it's the people who he's talking with or whatever, but there needs to be a real plan. And I applaud them delegating affordability to Scott Bessent. I really do. But I think, again, he'll do a good job. I know he's out there talking to people and putting things together. But it's like, you promised a golden age. People need to see a path about how we are going to get there. Scott Bessent can't do that all himself.